Good afternoon. I'm here to give just a brief update on the latest developments with the labor action here in Oakland. The City Council did adjourn their closed session. They provided the negotiating team with direction. That direction will be formally presented at the bargaining table within the hour. Informally, the unions have notified us that they intend to continue the strike tomorrow. Again, we know that it is horrible that so many families and residents are impacted by this strike. But it will be more horrible if the city makes irresponsible financial decisions that impact basic city services for the long term. I'm happy to take any questions. Obviously, the direction that was given during closed session is confidential. I cannot share any details with you at this time.
But the plan has changed from what was there. Is that fair to say? And is it fair to say they're continuing to strike because the two unions you passed it by don't think it's good enough?
What I'm allowed to say about what occurred at closed session is that the council gave direction. I think it is fair to infer that the fact that the meeting was adjourned, it was not continued, means that that direction is the standing direction at this time.
Meaning it changed or it did change from yesterday?
What I can say is that the ball is in the union's court.
Mayor, if they're back on strike on Friday, will you guys have another closed session meeting to try to even up the offer from what you guys are currently offering today?
At this time, no further closed sessions are scheduled. Law requires us to provide at least 2 days' notice for a closed session. There is a regularly scheduled closed session on Tuesday, which is the normal course of business because it is a council day, but there are no additional closed sessions scheduled at this time.
Had you hoped that this would avert the strike, that whatever you did in closed session, that you presented to the two unions, or is being presented, but they must have some idea of what it is? Did you hope that whatever it was would avert another day of strike, and are you disappointed?
It is my hope that the direction that council provided would not only end the strike, but also settle the contract. We want our workers to get back to work. City services are desperately needed by residents and particularly our most vulnerable families. It pains me that nearly 400 families that rely on Head Start every morning as their child care, families that rely on our rec centers as their after-school program providers. All of these families are without this support in their regular lives. So it is, of course, my desire that this strike be over, that we return to labor peace, that our great city workers get back to doing the incredible jobs that they do every day, but it's more important that we continue to keep this organization stable, that we do not put ourselves in a position where we are going to have to lay off workers or cut valuable city services in the future.
Please clarify. Sarah had that question.
I have a question about the layoffs. It sounds like there are already quite a number of vacancies, maybe just as many as you would have to lay off if you did accept the two contract.
So every time that we do a budget, our budget assumes a certain vacancy rate. So those vacancies have been taken account of in our actual current budget projections.
Clarify this. Is the offer, what you're offering to the union, any different at this point than it was earlier today?
I'm prohibited by law from sharing with you any decisions that were made in closed session. But the fact that the council deliberated over a 2-day period for many, many hours and adjourned their meeting today after having given direction and have not scheduled another closed session specific to this topic should give you some indication.
Did the union, you said the union has indicated that they will continue to strike tomorrow. Have they already, did that decision come before or after they got your latest directive?
The union very recently issued an announcement that they plan to continue the strike tomorrow. They did also announce that they are returning to the table with the city within the hour. They are going to be bargaining starting at 3:45 all night tonight. It is certainly my hope that that bargaining session may reach some sort of positive conclusion.
So the fact that they're said they're gonna strike tomorrow is not an indication that they saw whatever you are offering and didn't like it. That was done before?
The announcement to continue the strike was made recently. It was made after the conclusion of closed session.
But was it made before they saw what you had to offer?
The formal presentation of that direction will not be made until we are at the bargaining table at 3:45. It is certainly true that often informally information gets out.
Did you make any changes to the authority that the negotiating?
I'm prohibited by law from answering that question.
Mayor, can you talk about the impact to the city in terms of, we're talking about urban fees, you're talking about parking enforcement. Okay, how much money approximately is the city losing out because of the strike?
Certainly, a strike impacts the revenues of the city because we lose all sorts of revenues that get collected on a daily basis. Particularly things like parking meter revenues are certainly going to be impacted by this strike. We've not done a formal accounting, so I cannot give you a specific number, but clearly we know some of the categories in which we are losing revenues because our workers are not at work.
So your, the city's negotiators and the PB's negotiators are back at the table, you said?
At 3:45,
45, did you find a neutral location downtown?
correct.
And, is it just 1021 or do you have local 21 there as well?
I don't know the answer to that. I can find out for you. Apologize.
One more, are there plans over the weekend? Going past, do you expect this to go past Friday?
You know, I always remain hopeful that we are going to be able to resolve our differences and at least put aside the strike while we bargain in good faith. And that is, as you know, also the subject of our issue with this strike. And I can tell you from the city's side, we are willing to do what it takes to stay at that table and try and reach a resolution. We know the residents of Oakland are depending on that.
And would you say what is being handed across the table to them at 3:45, is this the first they're going to see of it? And would you call it a new proposal? Can't say.
I am not allowed to disclose what occurred in closed session. I'm allowed to tell you that the city council gave direction, that they adjourned the meeting and they did not schedule another meeting with regard to this topic.
Can you say at what time they gave direction? Meaning, did they give direction just at the close of the meeting, or did they give direction yesterday?
Yesterday's closed session meeting was continued to today. So the actual direction that is going to the table, I can say, was given today.
All right, is that good?
Has there been a last best and final offer yet from the city? Because I read that there had been.
There had been a last best and final offer, but the city had not declared impasse yet. And that is something that I'm sure you're going to continue to ask me over the next day or so.
Well, no, but that means that even if you put down a last best and final offer, you can still change it if you wish to, not saying that you have.
You can until you declare impasse.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right,
thank you.
any other questions? You good? All right, thank you. I'm sure we'll be talking again.